Alright, how's everybody doing? Alright, so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do a quick demo on the hair curve tool that I built. And I built this a while back, but Mike and I were having a conversation over at XMD, and I said, oh hey, I've got this great tool. And a lot of people use curve tools like this one to create hair. And a lot of them have they don't have all the features that I want. So I'm going to go through some of my process. I'm going to go through all the tools in overview. The point of this is to get more people excited about using what these tools are. Now, I should have probably started by saying these tools are for volumetric hair. Volumetric hair basically means that the hair is a mass or a volume, and the reason for that is that this type of hair it's meant for something very specific, which is we use it in 3D printing primarily. It can be used anywhere, but for me that's the whole point of this, is to make sure I have hair that I can use in 3D printing that's gonna make sense. So we're gonna use I'm gonna make a clone. I'm gonna duplicate this part here, and I'm gonna delete the everything but the head for my clone, because and I'm also gonna find the halfway point so that I know what the heck I'm doing here. Yeah. Yay. Alright. Let's see here. Selection rectangle. There we go. I just need to have a vague idea where the eyes and ears, root of the ear will sit. Alright. So let's go over this brush. So in the beginning, you've got 3 open-ended brushes. These are cores. There's the core round, wing, and oval. In the back end, or on the far end, you've got a couple of others. I didn't update the names to these because I just used them. But let me explain what these do. So what a core is, so when you make 3D printing, you have to have a solid object. And what a core is that we're going to grab this guy and split this off. Boop. Split hidden. We'll put this in a folder because this can get messy really fast. All right. So what a core brush is that it is the core, or the volume for the hair that we're going to be using. And what's unusual about this is that it's opened at both ends. And the reason for that is that when I make a core brush, I want to be able to very quickly create channels in this brush. And what that means is that I'm going to stroke it with these other tools. So basically I draw the core. Then in this case, because this doesn't have a lot of polygroups, or it just doesn't have a lot of hard edges, so I can polygroup by the coarseness of the object, I'm going to use selection lasso. So, and then I'm going to come over here and I'm put my brush on a curve on an edge like this. We're going to make this one color, or one polygroup. And then I can select out those sections. And I usually go 2, 1, sometimes I'll do a 3, and then I'll do another 1, and then another 2. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create an irregular pattern. So if I turn on double, you can kind of see I'm getting an irregular pattern here. And then I'm just going to go ahead and I usually I like to auto group. I like to see a lot of different polygroups in there. And then I'll turn this into a stroke. So over here I've got frame mesh, okay? And in the stroke palette, that's where you find this. You go down to curve function and you can frame it. I'm going to turn off border. I'm going to turn off crease edges. I'm just going to do polygroups. And I can get polygroups along the core. From here, I can go ahead and grab a a detail brush or a detail curve, and it's been fighting me on this recently. I don't know what the heck is going on. There we go. And that's too big. It's way too big. There we go. And now I've applied this curve to the exterior of my core. And you're probably thinking, well, that doesn't really look a lot like hair. Well, this is just the early stages. So let's go through this. Now, sadly, I don't know why it started doing this. At some point, it started just applying it to all the curves. I wish I could just apply it to a single curve. That way I can change these as I go. But I found that one of the tricks that works for me is, let me go back a little bit. I'm going to smooth this a little bit too. I'm going to polish my features. That's a little bit much, but it'll look nice. It's just a little much. All right. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you some of the tricks that I like to use. So I'm going to go ahead and apply a curve. I'm going to press 5, and then I'm going to grab a softer curve like this one down here. I'm going to apply that one. And then we'll hit 5 one more time, and we'll apply one more detail, and then we'll click off. All right. So from here, you can see I've got a lot of material. In fact, if I remove my mask and press D, you can see that it, and I'm going to render this so it's really apparent what the heck is going on. You can see that I'm getting all these different volumes. Now, one of the things we're going to have to do is we're going to have to close the end of the core, and we're also going to have to pick and choose what we want to keep. So let's just say that this is the base for a volume of hair. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to run auto groups. I'll run close holes, and then I'm going to go in here, and before I start moving this around and making this look more exotic or more natural, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to selection rectangle too. I'm going to start removing sections. So you can see there's a detail area. We'll go down here, we'll do another one. And that's a nice thing. So I want to go high frequency detail, or like really fine curves, and then I want to go low frequency detail. The reason for this is that hair kind of does this. It kind of clumps into groups, and it gives you a range of features. Now, I did remove one I don't want to remove, so we'll go back and see if we can pull that back out. All right. And it gets really complicated. I mean, even I'm losing my way a little bit, but you'll see that it really doesn't matter, because I'm going to make some changes here that are really going to affect this and make this feel more like hair. And again, I want to restate, this is volumetric hair. This is not hair for simulation. It's not hair for to look hyper real. This is for 3D printing or for stylized hair where you need to have a volume or a mass, a solid mass. All right, so I'm good with that. We're gonna go excuse me. We're gonna go ahead and run delete hidden, and this isn't done yet. There's 3 brushes that I like to use to modify this and make this look really, really great. Not to mention, I like to use deformers on this. A lot of the times when I'm using deformers, I'm using I really love how the bend curve functions on this, and normally I'd do some setup, but you guys know how to do that stuff, or you don't. But basically, I would come in here and I would pull this around and thicken up the base, and maybe twist it a little bit. This can be a really great way of making modifications to hair you've already placed, or if you want to experiment, you go ahead and duplicate this subtool, and then you do this exact same thing later. But I really want this to feel good at the moment. Ugh, that's an ugly kink. We're gonna go ahead and back out of that. So The brushes that I like to use to really kind of enhance this or to like refine this and make this a little bit smarter are Inflate. Inflate's a great one. Snake Hook with backface messing. That's another really great one. And you can turn the backface messing off, but you'll see why I like to use it. Um, I also like to use a little tiny bit of Smooth. And I think there's a third brush I use, but it's escaping me at the moment. So right now I'm just going to focus on the ones I mentioned. So let's start with Inflate. And I usually use this on the ends to sort of coalesce or bring the ends to a point. Oh yeah, I'll use Pinch. I'll use Pinch a lot. Pinch is another great brush. Excuse me, I think I'm losing my voice, so please bear with me. It's been a rough couple of days for me. Now this is going to get tucked into the head, so we're not really too worried about this, but what's great about this is that if I come down here and it's really, you see how this details, high frequency details, got a lot of striations in it and such, I can literally go through here and instead of smoothing, I can just run a little tiny bit of Inflate across that. And I'm leaving this area alone, but I'm kind of doing it down here and I'm doing it up here. And it goes from like a soft edge to a crisper edge back to a soft edge. That's a really great way to get some variation. Now, I can do the same thing with Snake Hook. We'll do that over here, but you'll see that it's very different. It's a different set of features. Oops, what did I push? Okay, so Snake Hook, I don't know why it gives me a warning when I want to turn Snake Hook off, or turn Snake Hook on. So I'm going to turn backface masking on, and I'm going to grab this, and you can see that I can just sort of pull edges into each other. You know, this is a really great trick. I learned this a long time ago, but this is a really great way to like finish up the end. The end of the hair usually has a good deal of volume, but it seems to I don't want to do that where it turns into these kind of Q-tippy ends. I don't want to do that. But if you find you've got too much high frequency detail, you can just scrub back and forth a little bit, and it sort of cleans that up or removes that. It's a great way to sort of pull the mass out a little bit. Most of what I'm doing is very, I don't want to say it's finicky, but it's kind of on the more delicate side of things because you're looking for that variation. You're looking for swells and collapsures and so on and so forth. And you know, things like this. If I was making this model for a client, and we were going to 3D print this, this might be a bad place down in here. This is a great area to just sort of just do a little bit of zigzag back and forth and just sort of close that up a little bit so we don't get a rubber trapped in that area. So you can see really quickly that I've gone from, turn off Boolean, I've gone from sort of very basic, let's see, let's go past the curves. I've gone from very basic to sort of having a little bit more life to it. Let's see if we can go a little bit further. I want to see right after A. There we go. So you can see that there's a lot of changes that are happening. This area looks like it's creating more of a base that makes sense. Same here, and I'm not getting the same pattern the whole way through. As far as the pinch is concerned, pinch is pretty basic. Everybody's used pinch. Whoops. I think I lost my hair. There it is. Pinch is pretty basic. You definitely want to get these points looking cleaner if you can. One of the things you can do is you can use the knife curve. The new knife curve is fantastic. You can actually trim these off, and hopefully the software doesn't crash because it's having a fit. Yep, there we go. Damn it. All right. Hopefully I can go back there and not have a problem. Hopefully I've got an autosave. At the end of the day, it really is how much you want to style the hair, how much you want to put into it, that's going to make this work for you or not work for you. I like this tool. I like how it functions. There's a lot of things that I like to do with it. Those roots or those cores they're really the the powerhouse of this tool. They really make it function properly. You can freehand all this stuff, but when I'm doing a project for a client, especially a project like the one we're looking at, it's really advantageous to be able to go through and just sort of bang out the content. Let me see here. Let me go and open that brush up again. So I'm not gonna go reset up my scene. I'm just gonna get back into this. So a lot of times I can just kind of come in and just sort of lay in the hair that I want for the head, you know, and I can get this down pretty fast most of the time. Yeah, not exactly what I wanted, but whatever. Sadly, you really gotta pick your cores pretty quickly. Let me see here. Most of the time, cores are, the brush is about 1/10 of the size of the head. There we go. That's better. We'll use. Let's pull that out a little bit. So I'm just gonna do a couple, and we'll do them in symmetry because it'll look more interesting. There we go. All right, so let's see here. We'll pull these guys off. Split hidden. Yeah. We're gonna go ahead, auto group that. We'll try a little bit of polish by features. Yep, that just takes the edge off. I actually want edges most of the time, but I'm also looking at how it got crimped there. I'm going to try to group by normals and see. Yep, I got some nice bands. I'm not going to get as heavy-handed as I did earlier, so we're just gonna go ahead and I got to remember to turn off these other borders. We're gonna go ahead and frame, and then we'll drop in some details. We'll do that one. Press 5. We'll do this one's a little coarser. We'll do a softer one. So you can see right away. You can see right away I'm getting something that I can really work with. And of course, once I auto group this, I can start picking and choosing things that I want to remove to sort of get the desired effect across the surface. Let's see, we'll remove this one too. I wanted to keep that one, but I want a coarser area. Let's see, we'll get rid of this one here. Nope. There we go. That looks better. And yeah, we'll go with that for now. We'll delete hidden. All right. So you can see really quickly, I'm able to get a really nice effect. I go anywhere with that snake hook. I wish it didn't have an error. We'll turn on the back face masking. You know, just kind of swell some of these up. Hit a little bit of inflate on the tips. I should have run close holes beforehand because I want that. I want the core to be affected by this. Now this kind of thing down here, that's just coming back in and pulling something out. I'll show you how to do that in a second. But we're just going to soften these so they make more sense. My inflate's set to 10. It's really low. It's just because I'm just trying to take the edge off. I'm just trying to take some of the crispness out of it. Let's see here. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn on mask by polygroups. I'm going to actually turn this down just a hair. I'm going to turn it down to 80. It's a little bit more than a hair, but we're going to go ahead and grab that snake hook again. We're going to turn back face masking off. make the brush nice and big, and I can just sort of pull this. I can pull this out, so I get that, so that overlap doesn't seem so awkward. Because hair doesn't, the only downside to this is it's not a simulation, so hair will look like, you're gonna get weird things like this, and you just have to, some of them you have to just tolerate, but others you can work with them, either by pulling a piece of geometry in or out, or figuring out how you want to blend it. A nice way of blending is to just sort of grab the hair curve, finding a light curve like this one, and I may not be able to do this. I may have the, but basically what I'm saying is you can create. Whoa, that's a huge hair. Yeah, I need to turn off the snap to surface, but creating. You know what? Sorry. Yeah, if you want to hide this stuff, you can create what I usually refer to as flyaways, which is basically just hair that doesn't follow the same path as everything else. I think I need to put a hotkey to snap to surface, and that's one of those tools that, as awesome as it is, I wish it was more robust, because sometimes it doesn't turn on and sometimes it doesn't turn off, or it doesn't affect, and that is just one of those things you have to deal with, but it makes me nuts. There we go. So this is usually the final step for me, and it's also it can be the most fun step, but it can also be the most infuriating step. But creating a couple flyaways to disguise certain types of overlaps can really help your work. And in this case, I'm going to use the snake hook with the back face masking turned on again. And I'm just going to pull it down so that we get a volume that doesn't interfere, that doesn't create undercuts. Undercuts is something in 3D printing and molding and casting that ruins molds and what have you. I'd also have to do some. I'd have to do some work on this because it's too much floating in space for a model. But yeah, creating a couple flyaways doesn't hurt, and you can always just sort of pull them off and create duplicates that make more sense. I wanted to show you guys a little bit more, but for the moment, this is basically the options I have for this tool. Mike and I are going to talk about this later on in the week, but I wanted to get this out there so that people really understood why I designed the tool the way that I did, how I use this in my process, and how it makes sense to do certain types of things. So the steps are basically, you lay down one of the core brushes. There's 3 in the beginning of the list, and there's 3 at the end. You pull out strokes of it, or you set it up for stroking, and then you stroke it with the detail brushes. Then you just inflate, pinch, snake hook until you get the desired result. This is really simple hair. I've done curly hair with this. I've done wavy hair. I've done messy hair with this. It really depends entirely on how far you're willing to push this system to work for you, and it can be very basic, like what we have here. It's super basic, or it can be very complicated, or yeah, elaborate. Elaborate's another good word for what you can do with this. But just to lay down a basic head of hair, just to see what you can get away with. This is how I like to use the tool, and I found that I've gotten quite a lot of good results, and it can be very quick, but it can also be very tedious and very time consuming. So there you are. I hope you guys got a kick out of this, and yeah, hopefully we'll be doing more videos like this in the future.